Alright, and welcome back. And picking back off where I left off at, we had made a few choices and selected our faction as the militarists. And currently, I completed the go before the Reichstag. Now I'm going to select supply to loyal divisions. So we're going to go with that. And I also selected some production. I was competing with the volume, the music background for a little bit. But anyways, getting back to it. So yeah, we're doing that and kind of just dealing with Bulgaria, I believe. So we've done the fake rights. We've done fake identification. That's pending. So yeah, we're just kind of just moving through. I know not much really didn't happen yet, but it will. So we shall see. So I'm going to try and speed things up a little bit. We can research stuff too. I need to also do some research. So let's go with land doctrine. Massive bombardment. Go for that. And need to go for naval doctrine. But yes, I find the storyline for this mod pretty interesting, but going down the Goring path should be an interesting take. And there's look for opportunities. And it says the SS acting up I'm gonna say the organization are once again started with the Reich. While this isn't exactly uncommon or new, the organization couldn't have chosen a worse time to recommence their usual antics. All across Germany, the organization has been putting their noses in where it doesn't belong, causing a great deal of disruption throughout the Reich. Stormtroopers have bullied troops from the regular army out of several armories across Germany, mostly concentrated in the Rhine. Several brawls between them and the Heer, the German army, have also been reported. The organization is also disrupting flight schedules in order to screen pilots and passengers, even from the Luftwaffe. This is a thin veil to harass them, nothing more, and shouldn't be mistaken as anything else. They have felt the need to make their presence known to the civilian population as well, carrying out their own investigations of the citizen population. Anything else from foreign spy to tax evasion has been used as an excuse to detain and harass people. They even have the backbone to set up choke points with no approval from anyone but themselves. They have been able to freely arrest suspected Jews and other what they deemed undesirables, who are often more than not critical of the organization. These fanatics causing so much chaos, some kind of action must be decided on soon to limit their activities and restore some semblance of sanity. So we can root out, resist, restrict their movement, or excellent all according to plan. So we're going to go with restrict to increase our faction's influence by 5. And we're going to divert infantry equipment. I guess they changed it up because it used to be you could have divisions, but I guess that's not the case. Maybe that's, I guess, later. So we're supplying loyal divisions. And after that, I probably plan on going for bolster the Luftwaffe. And maybe go a little bit on this side. But we're probably not going to have the most influence, to be honest with you. We're currently sitting at 20, but we're probably going to fall. Spear is probably going to catch up. So, yep, there's that. So we got that national focus done. We'll go with bolster the Luftwaffe. Madagascar requests medical equipment. The Reichskommissariat Madagascar has sent an urgent message they are experiencing an outbreak of plague on the island. Though the outbreak is in its early stages due to a combination of poor infrastructure and inadequate resources, they expect the situation to worsen despite their best efforts. Rice Commissariat Maurice has requested a large stockpile of medical supplies and equipment to be sent to the island and to help contain the disease before a full-blown epidemic develops. The request would not likely inconvenience us by much, and the domestic situation in Germany is hardly assured. Either, either should either should we send what they ask for. Let's see. Let's just go ahead and send the equipment that they request. And the Civil Rights Act of 1962, after years of protest, political infighting, and the rising discontent across the nation, this may be the watershed moment. While the Republican Democrats had dragged their feet on the issues for years, Vice President Kennedy spearheaded a bill named the Civil Rights Act of 1962, but found harsh competition in the president himself, who desired to postpone the issue longer. Recent events, however, sparked a change in the Senate, who feared a civil conflict, quickly ratifying the bill. While the bill has been celebrated nationwide, it has caused other issues. Tensions between Kennedy and Nixon are high, with the president's action against the bill causing the public's opinion of him to drop even further. As Southern politicians have begun defecting to the MPP en masse, many fear this will be a tipping point in American politics. So yeah, we have another research slot, and let's see. They have special forces. I didn't know they had that. I guess, well, that makes sense. Let's see. Advanced landing craft. So I want to invasion capacity 10. We'll just go with this one, get ahead. Because we might need bigger or more invasions. Collapse of the Triumvirate. With the bombing of the Triumvirate Conference in Malta, it would appear as though whatever chances of fragile alliance had went down in flames. The incident providing the final straw for many. Both the Kaldelios and the Turkish president have now declared their respective countries' desire to leave the alliance. With the two alliances, three major powers leaving, it is safe to say that the days of the triumvirate are over. Already, Turkey has made a fresh calls for the territorial rights and ambition in the region to be respected, particularly in regard of Cyprus and the Levant. With the Italian military being mobilized in response to the Turkish movements in Syria, on their part, the Iberians have expressed little desire to keep up significant relations with the former allies. Iberia itself is looking inwards on its own problems. Alright, I'm not going to say that part, but it says Goring exclaimed down the phone, "This is the Reich Marshal. It is a pleasure to speak with you, Dr. Brandt. Are you enjoying the Birkenhof?" And Brandt's voice replied hastily, "I'm afraid I'm too focused on the leader's health to admiring my surroundings, but the medical isolation is helping him immensely. I must ask, Doctor, what, though it pains me so," Goring sighed dramatically, "will the leader live? As long as the medical orders are not interrupted by the likes of Julius Schwab, we should see a turnaround. I'm attending to the leader night and day, although Schwab keeps accusing me of undermining his authority. He's always worked a slimy little toad, hasn't he?" Goring laughed. "Your hard work will not go unrewarded. I can assure you, have a good night." He placed the phone down, strummed his fingers across the desk. The leader's absence provided an opportunity for further action. If he hosted a military parade and delivered a grand speech glorifying the Wehrmacht, it would satisfy the likes of Schroeder and Reamer, while also infuriating Bormann and making him look weak and incompetent. Afterwards, he could propose a meeting in the Reichstag in which he could paint the leader's secretary as a closet liberal, no better than Speer and his crypto Bolshevik agitators, as long as the gap between the conservatives and the militarists was bridged. Goring could face no opposition from the party. Bormann and Speer naturally would be given the wrong date for such a meeting. Goring plucked up with the phone with the grin. There was work to be done. The race has just only begun. Alright. So things are getting more dicey. So, yep, there's other options like tour the Panzer Fleet, approach the organization, train every day. Yep. Seems like we have some more stuff. Che Guevara released. Worrisome. We can launch propaganda campaign, see how that goes. So we'll bring the air regiment to our side. Yeah, that's gonna be key. There's the Reformist faction, the Organization faction, and then the NSADP. Oh, Turkey has declared war in the desert since the end of the Second World War. Turkey has never been pleased with the share of spoils. Far too many Turks ended up outside their borders. These long skirmishes, tensions have exploded today as Turkish President Alparslan Turks has announced that the state of war now exists between the Turkish Republic and the Italian Empire. Despite their former allies, the war has already proven extremely unpopular in Turkey. Alright, that's good. Calling on Turks to lead us to victory. Comparatively, in Italy, the public has shown little or no support for the war, many questioning why Italy is even in Cyprus in the first place. And a Mongolian civil war also going on. So now we got that national focus done. We'll go for radio. Sure, we'll eliminate that. The bandits. So yeah, let's see what's going on. Looks like so of course the Italian Empire is in this area, but also they like kind of wage war. It seems like in, I guess, Syria, the government of Levant, which is where I said, is this Jerusalem, Gaza, Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, pretty much where modern day Israel is at. But there's some battles going on, of course. I am curious to see what happens to Russia for the most part, because it's just made up of a bunch of nation states at the moment. Alright. Bring air regiment to our side. We can look for opportunities. The economic mess has been a downturn since the economic crash of the 50s. Many Germans who have lost their jobs have remained underemployed and destitute for the better part of the decade now. Their only means of survival have hinged on the state continuing to provide them benefits. While the economy was crashing, many small business owners closed their doors for the last time. Major corporate interests throughout the country saw silently consolidating their holdings and bought properties, machinery, and expertise next to nothing. German citizens were replaced with cheaper slave labor, and their jobs simply returned. A decade later, wages still haven't returned to the pre-war crash. So we'll go for this one to again increase our legitimacy. But look at that. I'm not surprised. The military faction, according to the main story, wasn't supposed to be on top. I think it favors Boring more so. Borman. I guess we could go ahead and do some bribing. So now that that's done, we can select another national focus. So let's see. Smile for the cameras. I'm gonna go ahead and research those two. So Burgundy has about 21 divisions. Okay. Doesn't give you the status of H-Man's health. They used to in the past in the old mod. But, yeah. Let's see. Loyalty is high, power is medium, influence is high. Oh, America declared war on Guyana. Let's see. Yeah, it's down here. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. So we're like at DEFCON 3. 55% world tension. Yeah. Huh. Growing chaos in Germany. Interesting. So it seems like we have some more decisions to make. I'll divert some infantry equipment, but we need as many regiments as we possibly can on our side. It says one bad photo. Pretty much Gordon, like his photo being taken, it was taken the wrong way. But it says the photographer is a threat. Ferdinand, eliminate him. Make sure that young man knows I'm unhappy with him. I guess we'll go with the first one. That's more the militarist factions route. So we're done with Blue Water Navy research. A fatal leak. Let's see. We'll go with we don't have any time for failure right now. Alright, we have another focus to select. We'll approach the organization. So, here's a big one. Burgundy has done it. This is why we're at DEFCON 2. The Swiss Seismic Service has issued a press release with worrying news. Last night, their HQ in Zurich noted a seismological event somewhere in Burgundy, Jura, that lasted 4 seconds and reached 4.2 6 on the Richter scale. Due to the lack of aftershocks, they concluded that this is not natural activity but likely a man-made incident. Several Swiss radiologists believe that a report reported a spike in airborne radiation equivalent of a mild nuclear meltdown or an atom air blast. Governments worldwide have arrived at one conclusion: the Burgundians have successfully tested a nuclear device twice as strong as the one dropped on Pearl Harbor in 1945, with the shadow state remaining tightly lipped. As ever, the news will likely be confirmed. Still, it seems that 1962 will be remembered as a dark point in history, the year Burgundy ascends to the rank of nuclear powers. What does the madman think he's doing? So I know with the sub mod, you can disable nuclear weapons for the most part. That's what this is for, disable mad mechanics. Because the big nuclear powers, well, there's 4 now, I think. Germany being one. Now it's Burgundy 2. I think Italy gets there, so that's 3. Japan and America have also some of the largest arsenals, so that's like 5. So basically, technically, you see 5 like nuclear powers, but Germany and anytime it does happen, it's like world ending. So like even if it's like a small arsenal from like Burgundy, it's like we could see our arsenal too. So like nuclear stockpile. This is how much it costs. Is it trending? Yep. And I think there's like something else that tells you how big it is. But right now ours is currently apocalyptic, but will increase military spending. A trip to a tea house. Any other man would have admired the beautiful scenery that surrounded him. Any other man would have breathed the fresh air within deep satisfaction while surveying the rolling green hills. Any other man would have listened to the melodies of nature and the chirping birds to the buzzing of grasshoppers. Dr. Karl Brandt was watching the leader like a hawk, ready to leap forward at an instant. Despite his deteriorating condition, H-Man had gently asked Brandt if he could maintain his old ritual of strolling to the tea house on Moonsklough Hill. Julius Schwab had soon enough caught wind of this, and despite Brandt's numerous protestations forcing him to adhere to the leader's orders, that smug sycophant was striding alongside him, inhaling deeply as he basked in the sunlight. Imagine the idiot tripped over and smashing his face upon a rock. Brandt gave Brandt some modicum of relief. The leader, our H-Man, suddenly halted in his tracks, panted heavily. Brandt dived forwards just in time to catch the old man by the shoulders and clasped backwards like a puppet without strings. His face was pale and covered in sweat, and his breathing was raspier than usual. Brandt gently lowered him to the ground and turned him on his side, tearing off his own jacket and placed under the leader's head in anticipation for a seizure. As he suspected, H-Man's body soon began to jerk controllably. "Don't just stand there," Brandt shouted at Schwab, who was just staring at the two in distress. "Get comfy now." Schwab nodded, and raced back the way they had come. After a few minutes, the seizure stopped. H-Man was breathing raggedly, clutching at the dirt beneath his hands. His eyes were filled with tears. At last, the car arrived. Compra leapt out of the driver's seat and thrust open the back door. Brandt slowly helped H-Man to his feet and guided him towards the vehicle. Alright, so his condition is in critical. It doesn't say that here. But, yep. Italy wins the Italo-Turkish War. So that's big. Let's see. So now they own it. Yeah, Italy's got some pretty sizable holdings. And I see there's the Union of South Africa. I don't know what's down here. So United States of America defeated Guyana. Alright, so that focus is done. Should remove the Tsar out of Sofia. Bring more air regiments. And yep, that's pretty much it. Oh, and now select the national focus. Tour the Panzer Fleet. And yep. So Argentina has a coup, and we're moving on to the next part. So we can look for opportunities. The Kriegsmarine in decline. Although the world's foremost superpower, our Navy does not hold up in this day and age. Outdated and massively under-equipped, many of our surface ships sit anchored at port understaffed and in dire need of refurbishment. A casual observer may mistake active duty warships in the dock as a mothball fleet. It is only under Admiral Donut's personal care that the U-boat fleet is given somewhat combat ready. There's no disagreements throughout the administration. The surface fleet is severely lacking. Our analysts estimate that even the Italian surface fleet is stronger than ours. Them, a disgrace. To get the Navy up to standard benefiting our status as a superpower would require nothing short of total structuring of our Navy, complete with new ships, technology, and tactics. At this time, there is no feasible way we can achieve this. However, there are some temporary remedies available to us. By cutting some of the admiral's salaries and reducing waste, room in the naval budget for substantial improvements is possible. Be it weapon system, overhaul, repairs, new electronics, or even just a new coat of paint, we have an opportunity to finally shape up the Kriegsmarine. Funds are used better elsewhere. Focus on the much needed maintenance, and it only deserves the best. So we'll go for that. But yeah, it's always Borman and Spear. That's interesting how those two are always the top pickings. It says Great Thorn up the Atlantic. The greater the Reich, I should say, had long-eyed Iceland with utter contempt. After the island was the Achilles heels in the Reich's strategic planning, worse was the fact that they allowed it to become so. With the end of the Second World War, they willingly allowed the Americans to assume control of the island. The Americans have fortified the island over the last 20 years into an impenetrable barrier. Its coastline with pillboxes and bunkers, and its inner fields plowed and lined with concrete to support the vast weight of the B-52 Stratofortress, the nuclear first strike capability of the Americans, which was pointed like a dagger at the heart of the Reich. It was the surprise of German High Command. German High Command was okay. It went away. But anyways, basically Iceland is a issue. That being the case, it's right here. So it seems like America owns that. But let's see. Can we divert any other equipment? Nope. Can't do anything yet. And our focus is almost up. The Eagle soars. The Kriegsmarine enter the Iceland EEZ. All signs point at the brewing crisis. In the minds of those whose sirens wailed the war drums beat, it could not come to pass. However, President Richard Nixon recalled the new EEZ to pre-crisis borders, as well as demobilizing any USN or U.S. Navy assets operating in the area. Kriegsmarine and their allies were allowed to parade under the turret in the once Icelandic waters, much to dismay of every Icelandic fisherman. It seems that giant remains asleep while the eagle soars over her domain. What ramifications will have diplomatically are yet to be seen, but everyone can agree Germany's might is not questioned. Another victory for the Reich. Alright. Yeah, I would say most of Europe, of course, is under Germany's control or spear umbrella, and except for the Italian Empire. So, you just see what happens next. American spy plane is intercepted. I'm gonna bring another air regiment to our side. Alright, now that that's done, we'll dominate on TV. So we're almost done with this focus tree. And it seems like we have professional army, but there's untrained rabble, reluctant conscripts, professional army, and then there's Spartan discipline. I wonder if that's like Burgundy. Alright, we need to research something. We'll go for drop tanks. Combined blitz. Bulgaria sides with Germany. Wow. I didn't think I'll be able to pull it off, but it says administrators in the Reich race toast towards each other for German efforts to rein Bulgaria back in the pack have met with success. Both Germany and Italy have recently been jockeying for control over the small but strategically important country, and the Germans have come out on top by bribing, extorting, and exerting their soft power. They have managed, even though that's not true, I sent in the garrisons. I guess that's what played into the victory. I don't know. It says they have managed to cement control over the strategically important region. Italian efforts to support the Fatherland Front have failed abysmally, and even now the German garrison is cracking down on the illegal party and forcing them to back underground. For the foreseeable future, Bulgaria will remain aligned with the Reich, whether they like it or not. Alright, and this is where Bulgaria is at, so if we look at the faction queue, yeah, they're part of the Eins Pact. So, yep. Another puppet, well, not puppet state, but another, I guess, allied. So, yep. Yeah, see, this is like what I was talking about. The different stockpiles, like single weapon, non-nuclear power, multiple weapon stockpile, large stockpile, massive, which is where we're at. And then there's apocalyptic, which I guess if you're playing as Burgundy, you're going for apocalyptic. Yeah. I'm gonna bring more hair regiments to the side, to our side. And need to do a national focus. A lot of world events. A lot of world events are going on. Oh, the slave camps. Let's see. We'll go for that one. Spirit's Call. It says Hermann Goring slipped over his chair at the Havertide. He glanced out the window watching the moon. struggled to break free from the dark clouds and swarmed. His mind was racing almost as fast as his heart. His spy in the Birkenhof had reported back grave news that he had anticipated for a long time, a mixture of hope and fear. H-Man had fallen into a coma and was unlikely to recover. Now was a time to mourn his old friend, to celebrate the glorious new future. Now it was time to act. The leader was on the cusp of death. Goring, Goring's enemies were not going to sit idly by once this fact reached him. He had to ensure they knew nothing about the state of H-Man's health. Only his closest allies in the Wehrmacht and the party would be informed to make military preparations for a potential armed struggle. Bormann had rallied most of the conservatives in the party behind him and provided the greatest threat to Goring's power, although Hydra's lunatics and Speer's liberals would no doubt exploit any such conflict as well. As long as the Reichstag declared Goring to be the leader, he would probably be able to maintain a strategic position in Germania in the event of a civil war. He was torn from his thoughts by a shrill ringing of the phone, and basically the since the curtain is falling, and we are coming to a close slowly. It's the Reich Marshal Goring sat at his normal chair in the Burger Ballkeller beer hall, the one he had occupied since his time would be revolutionary all those years ago with H-Man and the others. It was not the past he was here to meet, however, but the future. That's why he was constantly checking his custom-made, lavishly expensive watch while sipping from the establishment trademark brew. His guest was running late, but given the enormous stake for which the appointed successor of the leader was playing, a few minutes give or take were mere trivialities. For the past month, he had been on a blitz to wine and dine the upper crust of the Reich Society, using every bit of charisma and charm to win over the elites who would be able to bring considerable resources to bear in the event he needed it. As Goring waited, he continued to drink, and as he drank, he allowed his mind to wander back in the past, meeting H-Man hosting the altar conf at Karen's insistence. The names of his old comrade flashed through the mind. H-Man, Rosenberg, Hess, even Rom, the degenerate pervert who had gotten what was coming to him. That was long in the past, however, it was worth remembering as a testament to how fickle one's grip on authority and power could be. Whatever else might happen, Goring promised himself to that moment that he would never allow himself to end up as Rom had. He would soon drink a mug of poison, then be humiliated in such a manner. The slam of a door brought him out of his memories. He looked over to see a man who he was waiting for all night. He stood up to the property and greeted his guest with a jovial smile and bellowed out, glad to see you. Let's see, train every day. I'll go for that. So we'll increase military spending again. Wow, Madagascar, the military stat of Madagascar declared war on the Republic of Madagascar. Looks like there's a border clash conflict going around here. Collapse of German Madagascar. We need to do some more research. We could do stealth craft. What about naval? Oh, we have air superiority doctrine. There's air parity, air supremacy. We'll go over that one, air supremacy. Wait, I want to see one other thing. There's defensive tactics. Let's see. Gunship support, area defense, tasking order. There's countermeasure, high altitude bombing, counter air defense. See, one is bomber base, one is also fire support base, and then this one says silo coverage. I don't know. I'm probably gonna go with air sovereignty. Let's see. And this one is more CAS or battlefield support. So we'll just go with that for now. Again, all these world events coming through. Opportunities again, military budget review. After the Second World War, the German military bore no rival. Our spending was second to none, as was our might. We proved the world our strength by accomplishing what many considered impossible. We retained tight control over our conquests, then expanding our empire even more by occupying the entire middle section of the dark continent. Since then, we spent better part of the 2 decades crushing army after army of partisans, as well as a Russian invasion. The economic collapse of the 1950s made the burden of maintaining the air's budget titanic struggle. Although many begged for funds to be funneled elsewhere, H-Man stood by the Wehrmacht and would not hear of it. Therefore, the last 2 decades, Germany would somehow miraculously maintain its military budget for better or for worse, without major economic crisis. Militarists in both the Wehrmacht and the administration continue to lobby to maintain current spending to this day. The other side of the aisle, a coalition of reformers, civilian interests, industrialists, and limited number of conservatives from the NSADP beg of us to cut the Wehrmacht budget to much allocated funds elsewhere. Being the position of power we combine ourselves with, H-Man's alien health allows us to make changes in the policy if we so choose. We're going to go for the middle one. Our enemies grow stronger every day, the budget remains. The Yasuda crisis, the release of information on replicating Yasuda Holdings executives as ringleaders of corruption and murder investigation, the Titanic Zaibatsu in the dire strait when the Tokyo Stock Exchange this morning was frantic, carrying out bins of sellers in chaos. Yeah, so it's basically Japan's in a state of economic crisis, and we gotta focus on it's like another national focus, and we are almost done with this faction tree. A report from Norway. Let's see. Combined Blitz. And let's see what else. So the biggest parade yet. We completed that, and let's see. We'll go with making our move. It says triumphant in Germania. Goring looked down the grandiose display before him. He gripped into the ledge of the balcony on one hand and waved his jewel-encrusted baton in another. The en- the enrapture of the German people, he thought to himself, was smiling. One must appeal to their base instincts, war, military, and grandeur. He had ordered a display of power on a grand scale, not since the glorious celebrations following the triumph of the Second Weltkrieg. It had been expensive, of course, but his revitalization of the economy following the leader's inevitable demise would more than make up for it. A sense of pride surged through him as Goring division marched onwards to lead the procession. The splendor of those uniforms, the synchronization of their steps, and the sheer beauty of those mechanical creatures rolled forward. It was almost too much to handle. He was enraptured by his own propaganda. Goring chuckled softly. Perhaps he would build a statue of himself in Germania. One for H-Man too, of course, but maybe ever so slightly smaller than his. Stop prattling, Field Marshal. Field Marshal Goring laughed as he turned towards Ferdinand Schroeder, who was conferring intensely with Otto Ernst Reamer and Johann von Kriegsmansieg. You're missing the parade. Ah, Fern, did you see that Moss? Amazing. Moss is like a tank. A big, massive tank. That was like a concept. It never got ushered into service. As far as I know. Sure, bring more regiments to our side. We'll keep doing that. And it says look for opportunities again. Protests reach new heights. And to give the orders to the army, we'll go with that, even though there's not much of anything. And it says H-Man is currently in a comatose. Making our move is done. Let's see. It says strangle the organization. Okay. And we're pretty much almost at the tail end of this tree. One thing I do notice about this mod is like the story. You know, there's a lot of story and background and all that stuff. But that gives you time to research and focus on technology and all that stuff. And I guess build your forces, because we're preparing for the big showdown for possible civil war. And so pretty much we have like, you know, things like moving regiments and equipment. Yeah, I would always say do that. I remember asking on Reddit, I would always say if you're going the military's path, go for this primarily. You can always produce infantry equipment in your factories whenever civil war does break out, but we'll see. Events that have taken place in this one, I mean, tension was at like a 2, and that's only because Burgundy had had made a nuclear weapon or done their nuclear tests, and now now they have the capability of producing nuclear weapons. So there's that. This is like our Air Force, or what's left of it. Alright, well, our focus tree is done. What in a name? Yeah, focus tree is done. Ah, excellent. Goring threw up the newspaper back on the table and plucked the next document. He scanned it intensely and shocked and shook his head with a tut. This extraction shows how the leader praised Goebbels, not me. My apologies, Reich Marshal uh, Fischer said hastily. My men have been scouring for weeks. Apologies are not necessary. Goring laughed. Just replace Joseph Goebbels with Hermann Goering. He's not going to complain from the grave, is he? He picked up the transcript dated from September 1st, 1939. It was one of H-Man's many speeches to the Reichstag. Ahem, should something happen to me in this battle, my first successor will be party member Goring. Make sure this one is released. Newspaper and speech extracts quoted by the esteemed party members' newsreel footage of H-Man and Goring shaking hands or standing side by side on the Reichstag balcony, or deliberating over war plans, audio recordings of H-Man's praising Goring. The successor had ordered his men to comb through all of it, compiling everything of detailed inspection. Once they received his blessing, they would all be sent to the Ministry of Propaganda and Public Enlightenment and spread of the German people. The public had to be certain of the future leader's legitimacy, and so he was presenting himself as a natural progression of leadership for average German community means safety. Alright. You look for opportunity again. Millions of German soldiers were rewarded after our glorious victory in the Second World War. Our loyal troops oversaw the creation of the greatest empire the world has yet seen. It was therefore only fitting to reward them. Accordingly, many veterans were given lands to settle positions of power and influence, prestige, and more than their share of wealth. This was easy to handle following the days of our great victory. It says times are different now, or it is their right earned in blood. We'll go for that one. But even though that won't do much, I mean, only 20 influence. How's Hydrich like beating out me or everybody? Or beating out, I should say, the faction that I picked. It says Autumn. Oh, here we go. I think he's kicked the bucket now. He lies catatonic on his deathbed, alone except for his physician seated aside outside the room. Like 100 million souls, terrible waiting, yet his consciousness is an empty bliss beyond his world. This world, his life flashes it by him in reverse. He recalls her funeral, how his heart broke, and how only his reference to his motherland remained. Cathedral of Light during the victory parade after the war, the long conquest against. We'll skip that. He mercilessly fought the world's powers in awe of Germany at the Olympic Games. His struggle to break the old order with blood and steel, the house of his parents, where he first dreamed to end all dreams. The stream ends with one final shot of morphine. His worn out eyes from the injection. He looks around as if he's searching for something behind the silver, the luminescence left in between the curtains. He sees the Volkshall, bathed in sunlight. He stares at the dome for some time, trying to remember Deutschland before he hears a whisper, the only voice ever he truly loved. He shifts his gaze to a fleeting moment. She is there, her apparition fading. He whispers the last word with a single tear welling in his eyes, Ava. There is no sounds for a while except for the faint serrating of oak leaves and the chirping of the barn swallows. The news of H-Man's passing came one after 1 hour of peace. There would never again be silence for the children of Germania. Well, that's what they're saying. So pretty much he has passed. So that is it. And they go into more details about it. So now that he's gone, let's see. And they mention it again. As you can tell, he's no longer there, so the emergency Reichstag Council. So they had a funeral for him. Okay. And we are out of national focuses. So, since the death of H-Man, the Luftwaffe has been already the great jetbirds again begin to fly without command across many areas of the Reich. Airfields vacate and seemingly every air wing in the Luftwaffe undertakes a great migration, their destination yet unknown. The strange flocking habits of these Luftwaffe birds is not restricted, it's just the aircraft. Fallujah, I don't know how to say that, the paratroop divisions pretty much to load up their equipment, personnel, and their aircraft to unwarranted haste and soar off to the destination unknown. Luftwaffe personnel seem to be in the midst of an utter abandonment of post countrywide, with only scarce with few commanders planting their contingents firm upon assigned airfields. The Field Marshal Speidel frantically attempts to officially ascertain the status of Luftwaffe. The motorcades in Germania are seemingly filled with their top brass leaving their offices for personal reasons, pre-planned leave, or some simply departing Germania with so much as a word to their superiors. Speidel may not have had any official status of the dilemma on hand, but there is no doubt in the minds of any of this work of the old Reich Marshal Goring. His place will soon be in place. Well, it says the Reich is at a state of confusion now. Although for the past week the Reichstag has been at one another's throats over a simple matter of who the citizens of the Reich should, I guess, salute. Now that the leader is dead, while it was always assumed that the next leader would be saluted, the current chaos lacks any real planning for crisis, means that the German people have left in the near state of confusion. The Reichstag has bickered, and that the more ideological minded salute their chosen candidate for office. Soldiers salute their generals or their home cities. Citizens salute their workers and the economy. Some saluted Hitler. Some saluted H-Man. It seemed as if every German had decided to their own special little salute, and nobody liked one another. By the end of the week, salute the Reich had become the most agreed upon salute for Germany, it seems, but nobody seems particularly enthusiastic about it anymore. Air acting strange. Men from the air abandoned their posts. Some division roles have reported half. Even sometimes more of their men go AWOL. In a couple instances, entire infantry and panzer divisions have simply disappeared off the map, only reappear across the country in southern Germany. No explanation can be shaken from the officers and generals of these divisions, since they are either to be nowhere to be found nor hidden away from the black spots of South Germany. A convoy of there's chaos in Ostland. A convoy of personal cars. Oh, same in Moscow. All right. So pretty much we've entered the German Civil War, and it says, and they've given us a little newspaper clipping. And it says each faction who's declaring war on who. Everybody's declaring war on each other. I mean, even the entire eastern side is broken apart. So this is what we're set with, and yes. So yes, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this, and I appreciate this. Hopefully in the next video we can start up the whole Civil War deal. I know there's like a lot of backstory and events to run through, and I appreciate you guys watching this and sticking with this series. So yeah, go ahead if you like this. Go ahead and comment down below. But thank you and have a great day.